We get that. They move, oh, that's not, you move the bar. And that's why it's so important for you to like things that you like for you.
Do you feel like in some ways that we're just like late to the party and we're finally arriving? Or do you think in some ways we are subconsciously kind of trying to keep up?
We were always intended to be late to a party from the moment we arrived here on slave ships. We were never intended to arrive to the party on time or even get the invitations to the party. It's been by happenstance, by miraculous miracle, by phenomenons that Black people have been doing the things that they're doing that they never expected us to do, that we've gotten the invitation to the party. But that's not all of us.
Yeah, and I feel like I see the same thing with this whole like Monjaro, like Ozempic craze. Like what frustrates me so much.
Ozempic's been around.
It's been around.
It has been
What
around.
frustrates me so much is that, and I even see, it's like that crabs in a bucket mentality. I even see people of color doing it to other people of color. A person loses weight, oh, she must be on Ozempic. But it's like, but what's wrong with that? And what we should be even more upset about is the fact that persons of color are the ones that are most likely to develop heart disease, obesity, and diabetes. And here it is, a weight loss medication,
That helps.
active ingredient that could have prevented a lot of these chronic illnesses associated with obesity. And they've tried to keep us from having access. So it's like now that we have it, people still, that's what we should be more concerned about. The fact that we could have prevented so much chronic illness had we had access to some of these same medications and some of these same treatments that have been around. This stuff is not new.
No, I say the same thing when there's certain cancer treatments that help women keep their hair during chemotherapy. It helps you, but if you don't know, then you simply don't know. And I think the goal has always been is that we almost spoon feed certain communities and cultures information until we feel like, okay, you've had enough. We're not going to tell you anymore. Now we're going to gatekeep. And that's why I kind of feel like Black people should gatekeep our secrets. So when we talk about like Black soaps, when we talk about things that are from like Africa, like what if we gatekeep like how much stuff other people of other cultures wouldn't have access to?
And it's not just beauty, like it's not even just health, like even financially, like with the credit score. Like the credit score used to be like 600, and now it's like we found out that I just need to get a 650 credit score, and now it's like 750, 850 now. So they've just further moved it along to just make it even harder.
Black women obtain the most degrees consecutively for the last 4 years. Consecutively, Black women have had the most degrees, and whether that's associates, bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees. We have raised the bar for that. Now to have a bachelor's degree, because we have bachelor's degrees now, get a master's.
Yeah, now bachelor's is not
Now
enough.
it's like, oh, you need a bachelor's and certifications. Now you need a bachelor's and you need 12 years of experience. Well, girl, I'm only 35, so when did I have this experience time? I was supposed to be an infant and on the computer? And so it's always this constant reinforcement of like, you're never good enough. And you're never going to be good enough.
And that's why I feel like some of these routines, actually coming back to that, like are so important, because the world says such vastly different things about that and about us. And I think that by prioritizing self, prioritizing our emotional and psychological well-being, it's almost like our act of rebellion in a way. There was a point in time when we were not privileged to have a shirt for every day of the week. And now, we have closets that are just as robust as the next person. Not that this is even just about material items, but just the opportunities, that we've been afforded in comparison to what we were afforded, before.
That's about something. If there was a way that I could time travel my 8-year-old self and just put her in a room with me now at 35, she would probably be in tears or in awe of like, girl, you have what? Like I turned a room into a closet. We were homeless, so you gonna go turn a room into a closet? Like that's what you're gonna do with your spare room? You want to turn the whole room into a closet and just display your bags. And people think that it's about the vanity of like, oh, I want this and I want that and I want that. It's not. It's about simply you see things so long as a child and you want those things and you know that it's obtainable, but no one ever tells you how to get there. So when you finally figure out like how it is that you obtain these things, it's not even necessarily about the things. It's the act of
being able
and giving my younger self permission to say everything that you dreamed of, it was definitely relevant and you weren't dreaming too big. You weren't dreaming big at all. Like you weren't dreaming big enough. Like you thought, oh, when you made it, you know, I was just trying to make it to how, like literally, I wanted to go to LA.
Yeah.
Like just go to LA, like that was on my map board. That was so minute to what is actually in the whole entire world.
And I always think like a dream denied is just a dream deferred. Just because it was denied to you at that point doesn't mean that you've forgotten and that your inner child is not still longing, you know, for some of those things that you wish that you had. Before we close this episode, I want to talk a little bit about that because a couple of things have emerged from this conversation. One of them is access. And you said this, like people cannot be what they cannot see. And that is something that I've been privileged to experience. That's something that I've been in a position to be for someone else. That's one. And also you touched on the power like of mentorship. You have been a mentor for almost like as long as I've known you. So I want you to talk a little bit about just some of the programs that you do and some of the ways in which you instill some of this self-love for girls, younger girls who were just like us that needed to see somebody doing some of the things that we're doing.
So the first one would be a date with my younger self. And that is a dinner where women who are business owners like yourselves there, you came to the dinner last year, and we group you guys according to the survey that you fill out. So each of the girls fill out a survey and they tell us about their childhood traumas, aspirations. The adults do the same thing, tell us about your traumas, aspirations. We put them together and it's called A Date with My Younger Self, the perfect match. And the goal is to get the girl to see what it is that right now is just right now. It's not forever. And so the ideal is that you see your older self in somebody else, but then also for the adults, you realize that like the young girl that desperately was growing and changing, you needed to sit across from her physically so that you can finally say like, I've made it, I've done it, I've succeeded, and I have so much more to do. In therapy, we talk to my younger self all the time. I'm like, girl, why we keep time traveling? But it's because so much of the ways that we show up is through our childhood trauma. Like so much of the ways of how we respond to things, people, relationships, parents, how we treat our own selves is so much enrooted in what we think about ourselves, and what we think about ourselves started when we were a kid. And it started with our mamas. So if they didn't think they were shit, we probably don't think we shit either.
Well, okay.
And that's like true. And so the second part of that is the pageant. And people are always like, you want every girl to compete in a pageant. Every girl, every woman, female should compete in a pageant. At least one. I don't care if it's the Miss Pumpkin Patch of Huntsville, Alabama. Compete in a pageant. And the reason why is because you gain so much self-confidence from being able to go on stage, say your name in front of people, say your grade, say what your aspirations are, say your goals, put on a dress. And even if you hate the dress after you wear it, but just walk across the stage one time in it, and I guarantee you, you can conquer anything.
This has been such a wonderful conversation, which I knew that it would be. You have always been just like a source of admiration for me. I mean, I've done a lot of things like academically, but you are definitely like the epitome of grace. You are just everything. I've always thought that about you, though.
Now let's tell a backstory. Zeradale beat me in a pageant competition, okay, at Miss CSU. She cheated. She twirled fire batons to Michael Jackson. Okay, she came on the stage and she lit the batons on fire. We knew nothing.
I did.
We knew nothing. The whole time for this 8 weeks that we're practicing for this pageant, she was just twirling regular batons. And then the day of the pageant, she lit them on fire.
That is true. Mm-hmm. But didn't you just say every girl needs to complete in a pageant?
Not with fire batons, and everybody else don't know that you have fire batons.
That was like the mic drop.
Yes, we know. Because who want to go after that?
That was the...
I done came to sing Diamonds Are Forever, and you set the stage on fire? Oh, no, ma'am. I could leave.
Girl, that got me working day and night. I'll never
Yeah.
forget that little song.
Yeah, she busted
I came up out that little blazer.
This whole
got me.
time she been practicing on the blazer, and I'm like, okay, cool, got a little blazer, Michael Jackson.
We
I
need to
can
cut
take
to that video.
We do need to
Got
cut
me
to that.
working. Y'all.